Okay, I had to make sure that was on there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So I'm looking through your math book this morning, and I don't remember seeing a lot of this, but that's okay, because I think you did pretty well on it. I think you're understanding fractions and decimals and percentages fairly well, and to me that's the big thing. You're doing good on your division, multiplication, that kind of stuff. You're still making some errors, but you know how to do it. And if you can find your own errors, that's helpful. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and I think what we're going to do is we're just going to finish a couple of things in this book, and we're done. And we're going to move on to the next book. Now, the next book, it's the same people that wrote this book. It's Master Books, but I have all videos already done, and I made them a long time ago, or a while back, when I first started teaching Calista and Carmen. So the videos that I have, the first few videos are going to be kind of probably weird because I'm talking to them, and then finally I realized, oh, this is stupid because other kids are going to be watching this. So anyway, the first few videos are kind of weird probably, but after that it'll be normal. But I've got videos almost for the whole thing. Now there's some lessons in there that I don't, but anyway, so I shouldn't have to make any more, so that's going to be helpful. So all right, let's look at, okay, this is exercise 4, day 162. I see that you've already done some of it and some of it you haven't, so that's okay. I have a file in here. Let me see, because I go over this in the other math. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe in pictures. Right here. I think this is it. I use this in the other book when I'm teaching the metric system, the book that you're fixing to be using. This is it. Let me make it bigger. It's going to be blurry. Not too bad. Well, I guess it's not. Okay. Now there's a sentence that you can remember. The metric system is so much easier than the customary system. Customary system is what we use here in America. The metric system is what everybody else uses in the world. And I don't know why we don't use it, but it's easier. There's so few things you have to remember. Okay, so if you can remember this sentence, and I never remember it, I just have to go back to look at this, but King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. If you can remember that, then you'll be good. Now, now think of it as a set of stairs, okay? All right, this is downstairs, this is upstairs. Okay, the middle part is the unit. Okay, now in the metric system, there are 3 basic units. There's a unit to measure length or distance, and that's the meter. That's your base unit, and you'll hear me call it the base unit. Okay, then there's a unit that measures weight or mass, and that's the gram. That's your base unit. Okay, and then there's another unit that measures capacity, or how much something will hold. I usually think of liquid. Okay, and that's the liter. Now, each one of these base units is right in the middle. Okay, now as you go up, it gets bigger. As you go down, it gets smaller. Okay, I always like to think of the unit right here in the center as being the decimal point, and you'll understand why in a minute. Okay, so if you can, and you might think, well, why do I have to remember that sentence? Well, because that sentence, the first letter in that of each word in that sentence helps you to remember the parts of the metric system. Okay, so usually stands for unit, and it can either be meter, gram, or liter. That's your basic unit. Now let's go with meter. Okay, so we're going to start at the top of the stairs. The very biggest meter is the kilo. Okay, that's 1,000. Actually, I think it can go higher than that. This is all we learn. Okay, but we say kilo a lot. So kilometer, but you know, we don't say that. We say kilometer, okay? Hectometer, decameter, meter, and then go down. These are smaller ones. These are less than a whole. Decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. Okay, now we'll go with gram. Okay, kilogram, hectogram, decagram, decigram, centigram, milligram. We measure, no, we don't measure it in that. We measure medicine, like the babies, when I give them medicine, I measure it in milliliters, but that's next. So liters next. Kiloliter, hectoliter, decaliter, deciliter, centiliter, milliliter. Okay, that's how the metric system goes. Now, in the customary system, I told you that was harder because you have to remember how many of this equals that, and then do you multiply or do you divide? And I get so confused, and I do. I have to really stop and think about, do I multiply? Do I divide? I don't know. I get confused. Oh my gosh, the metric system is so easy. You move the decimal. That's all you do. You move the decimal. So, my glasses are dirty. All right, so for instance, let's look at number 1. I see that you measured, oh, you measured it. You answered it, and I don't know if you got it right. Let me turn this around. It looks like you just didn't finish this page. Okay, yeah, you put 200, but the answer is 2 decameters. Okay, so here's why. Here's how you'd figure this. It's so easy. But like I said, if you could just remember, King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Then when you, and really it's kind of easy. Let me show you this. It might be easier if you just remember that sentence, and then anytime you take a quiz or a test over this and you need the metric system, just draw you a line. Actually, you don't have to do that. Just write this. King Henry, is it, I think it's King Henry, is it, doesn't? Yeah. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Now, if you can remember that sentence, then anytime you're working with the metric system, just jot this down at the top. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Okay, but remember, the unit is your decimal. Okay, that's the telltale thing. Okay, this is going to be either a meter, 1 meter. Now, my yardstick's not back there, but you know that big yardstick that I have. Okay, the way someone told me one time to remember some of the customary tools that we use, you can use those to remember sort of kind of what the metric system is like. So my yardstick, a meter is just a tiny bit bigger than that. So a good way to remember a meter is from a doorknob down to the floor on just your average door. Okay, from the doorknob down to the door, down to the floor, that's 1 meter approximately. Okay, now a kilometer is what they use for miles in other parts of the world, Australia, England, Africa, different places. So whenever they say we've been 500 kilometers, that means 500 miles, but a kilometer is actually a little bit longer than a mile, but it kind of relates to it. So you can kind of relate miles and kilometers, even though they're not exactly the same measurement, but they're close. Meter and yardsticks are somewhat close. You know the difference between centimeters and inches. Those are, I guess, sort of kind of close. Okay, so let's look at this then. Okay, so your unit is either going to be a meter, it's going to be a gram, or it's going to be a liter. Okay, and then each one of these are all Latin prefixes that mean amounts. Okay, so a kilo or kilo, K-I-L-O, that's 1,000. So that means if you have 4 kilometers, that's going to be the same as 4,000 meters. Okay, because it's 1,000. Okay, so it's kind of like a number line. So deca, this is deci, D-E-C-I, this is D-E-K-A, deca. This would be like 10, and this would be like hundreds, and this would be like thousands. This is hecto, that's 100. Kilo is 1,000. Now over here, these are tenths. So a deciliter or decimeter or decigram would be a tenth of whatever the unit is. This centi would be 100th of this. So if you have a meter and then you look at a centimeter, so a centimeter would be 100, it would be 100 centimeters in a meter. Okay, and then it goes down, then this is 1,000th. So this is really, the metric system is set up just like our decimal system. So the way that you figure out going from one to the other is you move the decimal. So for instance, number 1, if a classroom is 20 meters long, now meters is your main unit, okay, 20 meters, how many decameters long is the room? Okay, so here's your deca. Okay, so I think what you're going to do basically is if you're just going to think, okay, I have 20 meters. Okay, now in 20, you know, where's the decimal? I mean, we don't put it, but we know where it's at. We know it's right there, right? Okay, we never put it when it's a whole number, but you just know the decimal is right there after the whole number. Okay, so 20. Now, where's deca? It's 1 to the left. So we'll move 1 to the left. That's your answer. So if you have 20 meters, something 20 meters long, it's 2 decaliters or decameters long. You move the decimal. That's how easy it is. Okay, let's number 2. If the scissors are 16 centimeters long, now there's your decimal, how many millimeters is that? Okay, so we're starting at centimeters and we're going to millimeters, so we're moving it one place to the right, which means we'll have to add a 0 and move the decimal, so it would be 160 centimeters. That's all you do. Okay, if you have to move it to the right, like on this one we had to move to the right, then you'll have to add a 0 or maybe 2 zeros. If you're going from here to here, you'll have to add 1, 2, 3 zeros. However many places, you just add the zeros, then move the decimal over to where it is, where it should be. Okay, all right, let's do another one. And see, I think you missed these, but that's okay. No, you got that one right. Okay, so the race was 5 kilometers. Okay, it was 5 kilometers, that's right here, long. How many hectometers is that? So we're going to go 1 here, so you got it right, it's 50. You just add a 0 and move the decimal, so it's 50. All right, so the next one, number 4, if there, okay, I see, this one's a little bit harder. Okay, so if there, let me make sure this, I have this pulled up, yeah. If there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter and 10 centimeters in 1 decimeter, how many millimeters are there in a decimeter? Okay, so millimeters to a decimeter, that's our conversion. Okay, so if there are 10, let's see, where is it? How many millimeters are there in a decimeter? millimeters in the decimeter. Yeah. Okay. So actually, we're not moving backwards. So if there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, and then there's 10 centimeters in a decimeter. How many millimeters are there in a decimeter? Well, I'm not sure how to show you how to figure that out, but it's 100 because there's 10 of these in one of these. Okay? And so if there's 10 of these in one of those, that would be 100 because 10 is in one and there's 10 of these. So 10 times 10 is 100. See what I'm saying? You just have to think about that one. Now, if there's 10 meters, now meters is going to be here because remember meters is the base unit. Okay? Meters, liters, grams, that always comes with unit. Okay? So if there's 10 meters in 1 decameter, okay, so there's 10 of these in one. And then there's 10 decameters in 1 hectometer and 10 hectometers in 1 kilometer. How many meters are in a kilometer? Well, that's easy because these are whole numbers. That would be 1,000 because kilo means 1,000. So in other words, you could just look at the word. Okay, kilo means 1,000 and that means meters. See what I'm saying? That's what it is. Hecto means 100 meters. Hectometer would be 100 meters. Deca means 10. So decameter would be 10 meters. This way is you have to think about it. I do a little bit more because it's less than 1, so it's using decimals. So anyway. Okay. So and then you got the mixed review, yada yada. Okay, let's look at page how long is this video? Oh gosh, it's already 17 minutes. Okay. Okay. Well, that's all. That's all we're going to do for today. So there's no lesson. You don't have to finish anything. I just wanted to go over that with you. So you don't have any lesson. You might have to remind me. Okay. All right. That's all then for today.